1939, in the sacred city of Mashhad, a child was born into a humble religious family.
His father was a devout scholar who lived a life devoted to faith and learning.
The family lived simply, but their home was filled with prayer, books, and tradition.
From a young age, the boy spent long hours studying sacred texts. While other children played outside, he remained focused on learning.
Iran itself was changing under the rule of the Shah.
Among scholars and clerics, debates about the future of the nation intensified.
As a teenager, he decided to dedicate his life to religious scholarship. Soon he traveled to the city of Qom, the heart of religious learning.
In Qom, students spent years studying philosophy, law, and theology.
But the lessons were not only religious, they were also political.
Across Iran, criticism of the monarchy was spreading among religious scholars.
Quiet meetings were held, where ideas of resistance were discussed.
Public speeches slowly began, criticizing the direction of the government.
Authorities soon began watching these gatherings carefully. Soon, arrests of activists began across the country.
Prison became a place of reflection for many revolutionaries.
Even behind bars, the revolutionary spirit did not fade.
Across Iran, protests were beginning to grow stronger.
The seeds of revolution had already been planted. Across Iran, protests were growing larger each day. Cities across Iran became centers of growing unrest.
Authorities struggled to contain the demonstrations.
The revolutionary movement was becoming unstoppable.
Eventually, the monarchy collapsed under the weight of revolution.
After the fall of the monarchy, celebrations filled Iranian streets. Iran was entering a new political era.
New institutions were forming to govern the revolutionary state. Religious leaders now held enormous influence in shaping the nation.
But soon the young republic faced its first great challenge. The young republic soon faced growing tension along its borders.
Soon war erupted, bringing uncertainty to the entire region.
Cities across Iran prepared for the long and difficult war.
Leaders encouraged unity and resilience during the war.
Young volunteers joined the defense of the nation. The war would shape the future of the young republic. During the war, leaders often visited the front lines to encourage the troops.
Speeches across the nation called for unity and sacrifice.
Despite hardship, the nation remained resilient. But uncertainty remained during those turbulent years. During a public gathering, an unexpected moment suddenly interrupted the speech.
The sudden event left the entire crowd stunned.
In the days that followed, recovery and reflection became the focus. The moment strengthened the determination of those who believed in the revolution.
In the years that followed, his political influence steadily grew.
Soon, national elections became a defined moment.
The election marked the beginning of a new leadership role.
With leadership came responsibility during a difficult period.
Leaders addressed the nation during difficult wartime years.
Leaders frequently visited soldiers to encourage their efforts.
Important strategic meetings shaped the country's direction.
Citizens across the country supported the national effort. Iranian cities continued to function despite difficult conditions.
During this period, international discussions and negotiations became increasingly important.
Government institutions continued to strengthen during this time. Political influence continued expanding across the government. Years of leadership brought experience, reflection, and difficult decisions.
Eventually, the long conflict approached its conclusion.
The nation paused to reflect on years of struggle. A major leadership transition would soon reshape the country's future. A period of reflection spread across the country.
Important discussions about the nation's future began.
Across the country, citizens followed the developments closely.
Inside government halls, discussions continued about the direction of the nation. Across the country, citizens listened carefully to the latest announcements. Public conversations about the country's future filled markets and streets. Government institutions continued their work during this transitional time.
Messages of unity echoed across mosques and public spaces.
Religious institutions remained central to community life. The country slowly moved forward into a new chapter. Across the country, people began focusing on rebuilding daily life. Government institutions continued to strengthen across the country. Economic activity slowly returned to cities and towns. Communities gathered regularly in mosques and cultural centers. Cultural traditions continued to shape everyday life. Universities and schools became centers of learning and innovation.
Cities expanded with new roads, buildings, and infrastructure. Scientific and technological research gained momentum.
Citizens reflected on the decades of change their country had experienced.
Decades after the revolution, the nation stood transformed. Iran's influence began shaping conversations far beyond its borders.
The country's policies often placed it at the center of international debate.
At home, daily life continued amid global attention.
For many citizens, faith and tradition remained central to identity.
Historians continued examining the revolution's legacy decades later.
As we discussed, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 fundamentally reshaped the legal landscape, but
From deserts to mountains, the land itself shaped the nation's story. As time passed, the story of the revolution became part of history. And with each new generation, the story continues. Historians and scholars continued analyzing the revolution's legacy. The story became part of modern Iranian identity.
Culture, faith, and tradition continued shaping everyday life. Culture, faith, and tradition continued shaping everyday life.
Across deserts and mountains, the land itself shaped the nation's history.
Modern cities reflected the nation's transformation.
Traditional craftsmanship preserved centuries of Persian culture.
As the sun set, the story of the nation remained unfinished. From its ancient past to its modern future, the story of Iran continues.
For many historians, the revolution remains one of the most defining chapters of modern Iranian history. Cultural traditions continued shaping everyday life across the country.
The long-term implications of the 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement continue to shape our fiscal policies today.
Beyond politics and history, the land itself remained timeless.
Historic bazaars continued to echo with the rhythms of daily life.
Traditional art forms preserved centuries of Persian culture.
Yes, we did it! What a goal!
Faith continued guiding millions across the nation. As evening fell, the nation's story continued unfolding. Across landscapes and cities, the nation moved steadily forward. Across the countryside, the rhythm of life continued quietly.
In the cities, millions continued shaping the nation's future every day.
Ancient ruins reminded visitors of the deep roots of Persian civilization.
Across mountains, deserts, and cities, the nation's journey continued.
The story of a nation is never truly finished. After decades of influence, the nation's leader passed into history. Mosques filled with quiet prayers and remembrance. For supporters and critics alike, his era shaped modern Iran.
Across the capital, the city moved quietly under the night sky.
Historians would spend years debating the meaning of his era.
But history never stops prowl, and every ending brings a new beginning.